Hi everyone, welcome to the Sport Review HQ. I'm one of the co-founders, Kieran Beckles, and I'm here with my fellow co-founder, Martin Caparata.
Good evening.
And we're here to preview Arsenal against PSG tonight, and where else better to start than the weekend? Arsenal obviously drew 1-0 with Manchester United, and Martin, what were your thoughts on the game?
It wasn't great, was it? I mean, from an Arsenal perspective, it was very disappointing. I think a lot of fans were hoping for a much better overall performance. I think they just failed to show up attackingly. The first half was pretty quiet. In fact, you could say the first half was pretty even, I would say. But after the break, Man United stepped the gears up, and they were by far the better team. Should have really won, but for Olivier Giroud's late header. It was a very good game from a United perspective, apart from the result. But yeah, I think a lot of Arsenal fans were very disappointed by their team's showing, because they're still. I know they beat Chelsea earlier in the season, but they're still looking to get the big results against the big teams to show that they really mean business this season. So that was disappointing from an Arsenal perspective. But I would say that Arsene Wenger's admitted that they weren't great. So he said they set out to attack, but it just didn't work. So at least he knows there's a problem, and hopefully that'll be corrected tonight.
Obviously, as you've already mentioned, Giroud was one of the big talking points from the game. He isn't getting a starting place this season, but still as clinical as ever, arguably, from the bench. Do you think he's done enough to start against PSG tonight, or do you think Wenger will still stick with Sanchez up front?
It's a difficult one because, on the one hand, looking at it on paper, you'd say, Giroud, how many times does he have to come off the bench and score a goal to get into the team? But on the other hand, I think most Arsenal fans will not be surprised if he starts on the bench again tonight, and Wenger goes with Sanchez, just purely because of he's got that extra spark, doesn't he? And I would expect to see Sanchez start up front tonight, also because it worked so well this season, up until Giroud was available fit again.
Obviously, guys, if you disagree or agree with us, feel free to comment in the section below. Moving on to another talking point from the game. Obviously, Aaron Ramsey came into the team. Iwobi was dropped. Didn't quite go to plan. I think obviously Iwobi's poor performance in the London derby, North London derby, probably played a part in Wenger's thinking there. But given Ramsey's performance at Old Trafford, do you think that Iwobi will come back into the team tonight? And do you think that's something that Arsenal fans will be looking forward to? Has he now risen above Ramsey in the pecking order in terms of who the Arsenal fans prefer in Wenger's first team?
Honestly, I think most Arsenal fans are going on what they've seen from Ramsey recently. I think they would like to see Iwobi back in the team, to be honest. I think they'd like to see him start. Yes, he did not have the best game against Spurs the other day, but I do think that Ramsey was not at his best at Old Trafford, but then again, none of the Arsenal players were. So it's an interesting one. Personally, I'd like to see Iwobi play because he's an exciting player, young player. So I would like to see Iwobi play, but I'm expecting to see Ramsey back in there, especially with Cazorla out injured at the moment, who, by the way, is a huge miss at the moment.
Obviously, going across to the other side of the pitch, there's Theo Walcott, who has been obviously one of the players of the season for Arsenal so far. All that personal training in the summer really paying off. But there has been an argument that maybe he should also be taken out of the team, and obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain could be somebody that could come in and replace him, obviously provided a cross for Giroud at the weekend. Again, looking at that side of the pitch, do you think that's another change that Wenger might be tempted to make? Well,
yeah, I mean, and it's a problem that Wenger's going to want to have, because at the end of the day, that's what you want your substitutes doing. You want them coming on, proving a point, trying to force their way back into the team. So it's a nice problem for Wenger, and I would say that I'm expecting to see Walcott start tonight for Arsenal. But if Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain continues on the same run that he's on, coming on, making an impact, Wenger's going to have some decisions to make, especially if Walcott fails to produce the same kind of form that he has been earlier in the season.
So just guys, a reminder that I'm Kieran Beckles from the Sport Review, one of the co-founders, and I'm here with Martin.
Hi.
Also one of the co-founders from the Sport Review. And
Thank
if
you.
you've any questions, feel free to comment underneath. But back to the game tonight. So Arsenal this season have done quite well in the Champions League, considering they've made hard work of it in past seasons.
Sure.
Do you think Arsenal fans will think this is a considerable improvement on previous seasons, especially with a win tonight securing top spot, or is there still some uncertainty wherever this team is a potential Champions League winning team, which is obviously something Wenger has never done?
Yeah, I mean it's huge. It's a huge competition. You know, Wenger's not going to have that many more opportunities in his own personal career to win this competition. I would say that it's absolutely crucial that they win the group this year, because we've seen what's happened the last. So they haven't won the group since 2012, 2011, and they've been dumped out at the last 16 stage for the last 6 years running, which is a pretty pathetic record, really. So we're hoping to see Arsenal improve, and yeah, so it all comes down to tonight, because if Arsenal win tonight, they are top of the group, full stop. Same with PSG, of course. If they win the game, then they will top the group. So it's all at stake. If it's a draw, it will go down to the last game. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But I mean, Arsenal have to go all out tonight, because they need to kind of step up in this competition now. It's been too long of kind of mediocre performances.
And of course, getting top spot will help them avoid the likes of Barcelona, Bayern Munich, who they've faced in recent seasons. So from that point of view as well, that's already a huge morale boost going into the latter stages, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely, and that's the whole point. You want to avoid the big teams in the next round. Can I just say, if anyone's curious about what's behind us here, this is actually a limited edition print of to celebrate the end of Nike's partnership supplying Arsenal. I think there were only 5,000 made, and this is one of 5. It's number 500 and something. It's a very unique piece of memorabilia here.
Do you miss the Nike days?
Well, I was actually looking at the figures in terms of kit sponsorship deals, and the Puma and Arsenal one isn't the best in terms of financially now. They're quite low down on the list, so that runs for another 2 years, I think, or 1 year, I'm not sure. So it will be interesting to see whether they're going to renew that partnership.
Well, you can't say that and not tell us who's top.
Who's top?
Or can you remember when you?
I believe it's Manchester United's Adidas deal. Yeah, I think
unsurprising,
so.
I guess.
Yeah, and I think Chelsea's new Nike deal, which starts from next season, is up there as well.
So obviously, Arsenal going for top spot tonight. What do you think the scoreline will be? What is your prediction? It doesn't seem as quite as strong as PSG team as in the past. Obviously, there's a certain huge Swedish striker who now plays in Manchester and not Paris. Do you feel like this is going to be a comfortable home win for Arsenal? Well, they've been pretty solid at home this season. Obviously, 6-0 last time out was against Ludogorets in the last Champions League game. So, yeah,
as you said, Ozil scored a hat trick that night. First hat trick of his career, 6-0 against Ludogorets. I'm sure it would be impressive if he can do it against tougher opposition.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tonight, it's a tough one to call. I am going to side with the Arsenal win. I'm going to say it's going to be a narrow victory by the scoreline of 2-1. So 2-1 to Arsenal. What do you think?
I think I think Arsenal are in a pretty decent run of form. Obviously, the result at the weekend and the North London derby were disappointing, but they didn't lose, which is something perhaps Arsenal would have done in previous seasons. And they have been good in the Champions League this season. Yeah. I think they will get the job done tonight, and I'm going to go Arsenal 2-0. I think I'm even more confident.
Well, yeah. So you heard it here first. Arsenal going through, top of their group.
Exactly. Elsewhere, I guess looking forward to this coming weekend. Just briefly touch on that. We've got Chelsea against Tottenham coming up. Tottenham obviously lost last night, but they're still the only unbeaten team in the Premier League. How do you see that one going at the weekend?
It's at Stamford Bridge, of course, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, well, Tottenham have been flying in the Premier League, really. Although, their win against West Ham last weekend was their first in 4 outings, wasn't it?
Exactly, yes.
First in 5 outings. So yeah, they even though they are unbeaten, they're still quite a little bit off the pace. I mean, you've got to go with the Chelsea win for that one. I'm looking just because they've been in such good form. Have you been impressed by what you've seen from them?
Yeah, I think Chelsea have been brilliant. Don't really see a chink in their armour at the moment. I mean, defensively they look great. David Luiz looks like a brilliant signing. I think there's a few pundits who probably owe Chelsea, Conte and Luiz an apology after he was so written off when they bought him. I think it was the final day of the transfer window. Moving into midfield, you've got players that are in form. Hazard looks extremely dangerous, back to his best. Even playing in more of a free role than he was under Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
And you got Diego Costa, who looks like the Premier League's best striker, even though Harry Kane might have something to say about that. But yeah, I think it's hard to see past a Chelsea victory when it comes to that one.
Sure.
And obviously tomorrow night there's Manchester United against Feyenoord, just to finish up on Mourinho. How do you see that one going? Obviously the Europa League's becoming even more important to Manchester United now that they're struggling, yeah.
I always get the impression whenever I hear Mourinho talk about the Europa League that he really does not like the competition at all. So I feel like tomorrow night they probably will win, and I think if they win, they qualify. I think they probably will win, but I think it's going to be a reluctant Mourinho. He's kind of like, through to the last 32, lots more travelling, lots more fixtures. Whereas they want to really be United really want to be concentrating on their Premier League form, considering they are struggling right now. So how many points off the pace? They're 9 points off the top at the moment. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting one in terms of how Mourinho is going to approach it. So I expect United to win, but I think Mourinho wouldn't be that upset if they were to lose.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting because it probably will be a sign of how much Mourinho trusts in his team going forward in the Premier League this year. Because if they continue like they're doing, I think they've won one game in the last 5. They're not going to be even get in the top 4. They'll mind challenging for the title. So that means the Europa League's going to become a lot more important. And I think a lot of Manchester United fans that I know are already speaking about, let's aim for this competition this year. If we can win the Europa League
and qualify
for the Champions League, obviously through that, and then maybe pick up the League Cup along the way, and maybe, if possible, put together a top 4 run without necessarily getting in the top 4. That would represent a good season from this point, because they really are struggling to find any kind of form, even though there has been signs of a little bit of progress in recent weeks. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. But I think Feyenoord it could be an interesting night. If the Old Trafford crowd get nervous, then who knows? We've already seen that Old Trafford's not the fortress it was under Ferguson, so there's an opportunity there to cause an upset.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. Okay.
Well, thanks guys for joining us. I hope you guys enjoy Arsenal against PSG tonight, and you've enjoyed our predictions and our preview, and we'll be back soon with more previews on Premier League and Champions League football. So for me, Kieran, one of the co-founders of the Sport Review, and
me, Martin, the other co-founder, see you soon and enjoy the games.